Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Sweet Spot.
We are your hosts.
I'm Diane.
And I'm Michael Pinball Clemons.
And we are so excited to be here today.
The Sweet Spot really is joy unspeakable, having balance in all you do.
It's being grateful, even when things aren't great. The desire to help others when you may be hurting yourself.
It is submission to a sovereign God who is in control when things look good or bad.
The Sweet Spot means happy times are happier, challenging times are growth opportunities, and love is the ruler of the day.
The Sweet Spot is resting and sometimes wrestling in the arms of the Almighty.
Simply put, if you're in your sweet spot, you're probably abiding in the fruits of the Spirit.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
So we hope you join us as we take this journey and engage in topics that we hope will inspire,
encourage,
challenge,
uplift,
excite,
insight,
refresh,
restore,
revitalize,
comfort,
stimulate,
and strengthen each of you in your daily walk.
Welcome to The Sweet Spot.
Hello and welcome to The Sweet Spot. If you're wondering what The Sweet Spot is, I'm in it today. I'm in the middle of two of the most gorgeous women on the planet, my bride of 24 years, Miss Diane Clemons, and the senior pastor of Kingdom House Ministries, Pastor Tania Meikle. So happy to have you both in the house today. But more specifically, Tanya was here last time. Pastor Meikle was here last time. And the last time she was here, you should look it up if you haven't seen it. Impact for Eternity. She has a heart for things of the kingdom, and just what a wonderful story and a wonderful message and a wonderful testimony you have. She has been concentrating on doing things not just for this temporal life, but doing things that matter in eternity. And her real love, her real passion, her real desire is to see people improve, to see people do better, to see people become better people, and very intentional, very purposeful, and her heart is bigger than her body, and we just love it. And the last time she was here, though, during this time, she actually said that, well, it was uncomfortable sitting in the seat and asking all or being asked all these questions. And today we're going to turn it around because so we're going to let her ask us the questions to see, because I think that's your sweet spot, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if it's my sweet spot or not, but I just remember when you guys were interviewing me, and I just thought your answers to these questions I would love to know. And I think not just me, but I think your audience also would love to hear some things about you guys that they've never heard before. You've done plenty of interviews, but I'm hoping that today we get a chance to get a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more about you, things that we've never, ever heard before.
I'm leaving now.
It's okay. I'll be easy on you.
Oh, this is uncomfortable.
So now you get to be in the sweet spot, and I get to be sitting here and I get to ask the questions. But absolutely, it's going to be a great day for your viewers. You guys, I hope you're going to hear something today about Mike and Diane that it's going to get you to know them a little bit better, understand their heartbeat, where they come from, and why they really do what they do. I've had the honor, absolute honor, of knowing you guys for quite a long time.
Yes.
And one thing I can say about you both is that you are the same in private as you are in public.
Crazy.
Yeah. What you see is what you get.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
No, it's a great thing. You guys are such authentic people. Honestly, your authenticity is so beautiful. And as we watch you, me and my husband watch you, we just say, wow, what an amazing couple that behind the scenes, in home, you guys are the same people as you are when you're out in the public and in the crowds and doing all the magnificent and awesome things that you do. Honestly, you guys are people of great character, but great talent too. And it's almost that God has almost not fairly given you guys so much. But I honestly know that to whom much is given, much is expected. And you guys have done such a great job with all the talents and all the gifts and the character that God has given you.
Wow.
So today we're going to be talking about you. Out there, you guys see the glory, but you don't maybe know the story. So today I'm hoping that you get a chance to really get to know the story. It's easy for us to look at you guys and admire you and say you are a super couple, power couple, but I want to dig down and get to know you guys and where you came from and your story. So today I'm going to start out, if it's okay, with some rapid fire questions. I'm just going to say the question.
You have us nervous right now.
That's
right?
okay. Just say the first thing that comes off the top of your head, because that will be your most sincere and honest answer. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. You can pass if you want.
Okay.
But I just want you to say it. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Trek. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
3 Trekkies here.
Yes.
From back in the 70s,
right,
back
that's
when the
right.
first original.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Star Trek. So
Yes.
3 for Star Trek, 0 for Star Wars. Although I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Star Trek is the original, right?
That's it.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Night owl who wants to be a morning person.
Hate the morning.
Yeah. 3 night owls here.
I don't mind the morning. I don't mind the morning.
Yeah.
But I'm a night owl. Yeah.
Gotcha. Favorite pizza topping?
Ooh, ground beef, pineapple, and green peppers.
Very good.
We've grown into the same thing, but I could do without the green peppers. But I know she's trying to make have
Trying to
a
make it
little
healthy.
veggies. Yeah,
Make
yeah.
it a little bit healthy.
Yes, that absolutely.
Pet peeve?
Ooh, I'm a neat freak.
Neat freak.
Injustice.
Injustice.
Without question.
Excellent. Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook?
Neither, but if I have to choose, Twitter.
I don't use
I know.
either.
I know,
But I'm joining Twitter soon.
but
Yeah.
yay! And
so-
do you know what your Twitter handle will be if you're on Twitter? Will it be Mike Clemons, Pimbo Clemons? What will it be?
At I forgot.
And I forgot. Okay, look him up at I forgot. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
T.
Coffee. I'm the lone manger on that. Last song that stuck in your head?
OMG. I don't know.
Mike?
Where would I be?
Where would I
Yeah,
be?
so where would I be without you, without Jesus,
Ah,
right? Yeah, so,
wonderful.
So that's
There you go.
Smoky Norfolk.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Well, Diane, if you could do a duet with anyone, who would it be?
Oh my goodness. Brian McKnight.
Brian McKnight.
Or,
But you did do one with Brian
I
McKnight.
did do a little bit with
Yeah.
Brian McKnight. Okay, so, oh my goodness. Oh, Maxwell.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Maxwell, and then on the gospel side, it would have to be Smokey.
Smokey. Okay, Smokey, if you're out there watching,
Yeah.
Di would love to do a duet
I
with you.
love
Let's make it
him.
happen on the next
I
track, on the
love
next
him.
CD.
Yes.
Let's drop that song. All right.
I'd like to do a duet with Johnny Gill.
Johnny Gill?
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because I can't sing and he
Neither
doesn't
can-
mind. He's just going to sing over everybody anyway.
Wonderful. Excellent. I've heard about your prowess when it comes to singing.
So Johnny Gill is just going to
Johnny
sing
Gill,
over
he'll
everybody.
sing
gonna
over it.
sing over
Nobody will
everybody.
hear you.
Funny.
If you could meet anybody, who would it be? Mike, I'm going to start here. Who would it be? You've met a lot of people, I'm sure, but
yes.
if you could meet anybody you haven't met.
So my when someone asked me the 3 people I would meet, it would be Jesus, if I could pick anyone, Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Michael Jordan, just to add a little bit of fun in there, right?
Excellent.
If we're just talking people who are alive, it would, you say the only one of those 3 would be Michael Jordan, but if I was just choosing one person, I'd like to speak to an elderly person in a country that was a developing country who was really poor, and hear their story and hear how they made it through the real substantive. I believe those are the true heroes, the ones in our community who build our community every day, who don't ask. This is supposed to be a quick one.
It was.
I'm sorry. So yes, I'll be
Rapid
quiet.
fire.
Okay,
rapid fire, Mike.
Okay, hello.
Diane, anybody you want to meet?
Michelle Obama.
Me too. That was my top one too.
absolutely.
King David or Apostle Paul?
Ooh, King David.
I'll go with Apostle Paul just for balance.
Okay, broccoli or Brussels sprouts?
Broccoli.
Broccoli.
Me too, broccoli. Advice you'd give to your 20-year-old self? Quick fire.
Oh.
One piece of advice to 20-year-old Di.
20-year-old Di. Trust God.
Trust God. Mike?
Marry Diane Clemons.
Marry Diane Clemons. So that's a great...
Diane Lee, I should say at that
Diane
time.
Lee. Very good. Well, that's a great segue into the real questions of the day.
Yes.
You guys have been
That was
together for 32 years and celebrating just recently 24 years of bliss marriage.
That's right.
We want to know, and this is something I don't even know the whole story of, and I'm hoping that our audience can hear it today. How did you meet? Tell us the story of how you met.
Oh, you're pointing at me, huh?
Yes.
Go ahead, Diane.
Okay, so I'll give you the quick version. Good girlfriend of mine, she played basketball with my sister, and she lived a couple doors down from Michael. And we were trying to go to a football jamboree. In the States, they had these big jamborees where these rival teams played football, and it was a big deal. And so she was trying to convince me to go to this football game with her. I wasn't a football fan. My family all played basketball. We were a huge basketball family. And wasn't really interested, but she kept, come on, go with me. So I said, okay, we'll go. And then she looked at me and said, well, I don't know where it is. But my friend Mike, who lives down the street from me, he plays football. He can tell us where the game is. And after a few minutes, she looked at me and she says, as a matter of fact, you guys would make a super couple. And I looked at her like, not interested, not even thinking, like, thanks, but I'll pass, right?
How old were you at that time?
I was 18. 18 years old. And she said, no, seriously, Di, you guys would be amazing together. And I was like, okay, anyway. So we went to his house, and she rang the doorbell, and here comes Mr. Clemons, opens the door with no shirt on, and all these muscles showing. And I'm thinking, who is this guy, right?
So understand, this is the summertime. I've just come home from your first year of university, right? And only guys come to the door, right? I mean, you don't have girls
who expecting.
No, I was there in no way expecting. So then I'm hiding behind the door, right?
He was hiding behind the door.
I opened up,
Peeping
Jay,
around the
thinking,
corner.
hey, Tuck, that's my main guy, thinking, and yes.
So anyway, we get the information and we go on about our business. A couple days later, we run into him again. We're on our way to the beach to, I'm going to be honest, look at guys.
Okay.
And she says, he's walking down the street. She lets the window down and she screams out, hey, Mike. And she says, pull up. We're going to the beach. Why don't you come hang out with us? And I'm hitting her like this, like, no, what are you doing? Like she was determined to get us together.
She had a plan.
She had a plan, I'm telling you. And of course, he accepts the invitation. The whole time at the beach, I felt like an outcast because the two of them, they were talking, getting along great. And I was thinking, why is she trying to put me with this guy? Why don't the two of them get together, right? So that didn't work out. They had a great time, and I was like, okay, anyway, next. And funny enough, I didn't know his best friend was teaching me how to play tennis.
My best friend.
His best friend.
Yes.
He was a really good friend of mine as well.
Our parents were best friends,
Yeah.
and we grew up together.
Had no idea.
So there was another connection point that you
another
were not aware of.
Absolutely. So I don't know how it happened, but my name came up, and his friend said, I'm teaching her how to play tennis.
I brought it up. Yes.
On this day, come to this court at this time. And Mike shows up, and I'm thinking, this guy keep popping up out of nowhere, right? And he reintroduced us, and we went for pizza after my tennis lesson. We talked for hours. And that night, I knew that he was special. I'd never met anyone so intelligent. Like, I was blown away. But, of course, I didn't eat pizza because what girl eats pizza on the first
date?
Yeah,
No.
So I sat and watched
Too
him
messy.
eat
Yeah.
pizza. But our conversation was so deep, and it was biblical. It was about God. It was about the scripture. It was about our beliefs. And I'm thinking, where did this guy come from, right? But he was so brilliant, just so smart. And I was like, and I'd always prayed and asked God, I want somebody that loved God, respected me and my body, and was smart.
And tall, but that didn't work out.
Yeah, and I didn't get the tall part. God has a sense of humor, you know. He has a sense of humor because I always said I wanted someone really tall.
Look at that.
Because my family's tall. Like my brothers, my dad was 6'4". Like everybody was tall. But God has a sense of humor. I accept that.
You know, sometimes you have to be specific. He gave you,
You
somebody
know?
tall in character.
There you go.
Tall in
There
spirit.
you go. There you go. But from there, you know, that was it.
That was it.
That
You
was
knew.
it.
You
I
knew
knew.
from that first date, that pizza date, that he was
I
the
did.
one.
I
When
did.
did you know that she was the one?
About 2 years before that.
How? Did you know who she was?
So I saw her walking down the street, and I pulled my friend and I said, who is that? She says, oh, that's Diane. She lives on the avenue. That was the name of the street. That was the slang name for the street that she lived on, the avenue, Garden Avenue. And she is so-and-so's boyfriend. He was a football player. He was the rival team, right?
But I didn't have a boyfriend.
Okay.
But anyway, that's who was associated with her, right? So she had his jersey. I do know that. Yeah. So they played on rival. So this was her in school boyfriend, if you will. So he was So
He likes to say that, but I didn't
yeah.
have a boyfriend.
So either way, this is who was associated, and I was dating someone as well, and so but I saw her then, and then the next time, sort of this weekend, right? So this first weekend, we actually bumped into each other 3 times. So it was when they came to the door. It was another time when I was actually driving down her street accidentally, and her sister called me back, and then the third time, as she mentioned, when we did the beach thing. So it was 3 times in this weekend, and the very first time, though, we had a conversation. I knew, but even that very first time, she was a lady, and that's what impressed me. She was I say 19 years old. She was the first lady that I met, right? Who was my age, right? So I married the first lady I ever met.
Wow. I mean, I just think it's very special, and it's great for the audience to know this. If you're out there and you're single and you're looking for somebody, what you were looking for was not the successful guy, not necessarily the guy who had it all going on the outside, but you were looking for somebody who had it all going on the inside.
That's right.
And you, Mike, you were looking not for that girl who is out there and trying to make everybody see her, but you were looking for a lady. A young lady, and when you found Di, you knew that, and I think that's really great for the audience to know.
He was my first boyfriend.
Yes.
He was my
Okay.
first
So
boyfriend.
not the guy who you had the
No.
jersey with?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
That's
got
right.
you.
That's right.
Yes.
Very good. So how did things progress after that? So you kind of knew, and I'm guessing you guys started dating, etc. I do know this about Mike, because I've watched him over the years and how he treats you, and I mean, he still calls you his bride.
Right.
Up until even now, I've seen what he's done for you on special occasions and how meticulous he is about
Very.
treating you very well.
Yes.
And honestly, an example to so many on how he treats you and how you treat him as well. I know he's a romantic. How did he get around to finally deciding or coming to you and asking you to marry him?
Wow. Well, we were actually on a Christian retreat. Mike was playing for the NFL at the time. Was
No,
it? No,
CFL,
CFL. But it was for the NFL and CFL players.
Athletes in Action
Athletes
come
in
together
Action.
to have a conference together
That's
every other
right.
year. Both we'd have our own one year, and the opposite year, the odd year, we'd go
together.
with the NFL.
That's right. And so this particular conference, we were together with the NFL guys. So he knew a lot of the players, and that entire week, leading up to that, like. At first, my mom didn't want me to go because, she was one of those parents that, you're not going anywhere with the guy and blah, blah, blah. So, and I was like, trust me, Mom.
So this is 8 years in, by the
8
way.
years.
Yes, 8 years in.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
it's
she knows
still-
you well.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
it's a Christian
You guys are
conference.
serious,
They're
yeah.
pairing all the single girls together, so I won't be in the same room, so don't worry. So anyway, we get there, and all the guys were on Mike the entire week. Pimbo, what are you doing, man? Like, you got a good lady. You need to marry her. It's been how long? You guys been together for 8 years, man. What are you doing? So the whole week, that's all we heard, the entire week. The last night of the conference, Michael proposed. We were in Los Angeles, in California, and he took me out on a balcony and got down on his knee. Didn't have a ring, and he asked me to marry him. And of course I said yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
So what was that journey for for you, like that week leading up to asking her? When did you finally say, you know what, I got to do this?
So for me, it was much more about stability, right? So, so we dated for 8 years, but for the first 4 years, we were both in school, right? So for the next 4 years, so I went to I did get drafted in the NFL, but I played a year, but then I came back after that season to finish up. I had another semester left to finish school. So we were in school for the first 4 years, right? And then I sat out a year, and I became the youth director at our church. I shouldn't say sat out, I was released, right? And so then I wasn't playing, and I thought the football was over. And so I went and I came back home, and I was the youth director at my church and working at a company called Honeywell. They were going to pay for me to get my MBA, and so we thought we had life figured out. And then football came up again, and the opportunity to come to Canada. So we're in year 5 here, and I'm trying to get stability, and football enters the picture again, right? And so then I come up here, right? And so that's now year 6, and that's my first year here. Then after the second year, kind of got a little bit more established, a little bit more comfortable, and so it was after that 3rd year. So it was really more about getting established and making sure that I get. But one thing I maybe want to add, there was a lady who mentored us, and she said it takes. Or mentored me, I should say, as a young man. She was a pastor as well of a little small church, and she would always have me come read the Bible. And one thing she said that always stuck with me is she says, it takes a lady to be a gentleman. And you know, I've finally found that lady, right? So that I can. So for me, the way I treat her is based on the way she is. Right, so it's just a reflection of her. It's not necessarily what I'm doing. It's a reflection of who she is. The way she handles herself, right, calls for me to act in the way that I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you guys got engaged. Did you do any marriage counseling at that time? Did you seek out some help as far as the relationship was concerned so you'd have a successful marriage? What did you guys? What were the next steps?
we did. We definitely had counseling, and it was from both of our pastors. We allowed his pastor to counsel us, and my pastor as well.
Yeah, so we went through dual counseling,
yes,
and so it was really
we
good.
wanted to be real sure.
Yeah, so,
Very good.
yes.
Well prepared, right?
Yes.
And quite honestly, Diane was Seventh-day Adventist. I was Baptist. We wanted to understand, you know, the depth of
That's right.
you know, both sides and where we stood,
And how we bring that together,
and how we would bring our children up, and to make sure we're both Christians, both committed. We just wanted to make sure to clear up all the details.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I mean, marriage is marriage, right? So
Yes.
you guys get married. Did you have to move to Canada at that time? Were you already in Canada when you got married?
Yes, so we were playing here, and so I wasn't sure if she wanted to stay here full time. So we bought a house in Florida.
Okay.
So we went back to Florida in the off season, because in football you have a 6-month off season, so you have a nice off season.
Sure.
So we bought a house down there first, because I didn't want to impress it upon her. I love Canada, and I knew from the start that I wanted to stay here long term, and I voiced that to her, that I really loved it, and I really would consider staying, but I told her it was going to be her choice.
Yeah. So what was that? How was that choice? Because you're leaving family, you're leaving friends, you're leaving your foundation, you're leaving your country, and you're coming to a new country where I know, Mike, you say you were American by birth but Canadian by choice. He wanted to be here.
Right.
What was it like for you coming here? If you can just tell us briefly what that experience was like.
It was difficult. It was difficult because I'm really, really, really close to my family, and knowing that I was going to be coming to a new country and not knowing anyone, it was tough. And leaving my stability, what I knew, my comfort zone, and I had a great job. I was working for Department of Defense, and like I was moving up, and things were going so well, and I even asked him at one point, I said, well, can I just stay here and I come see you like every other week? And he looked at me, he was like, no. We didn't get married for you to be here and for me to be here.
Yes.
So this is what's going to happen. But yeah, it was difficult. And it was a really hard transition for me. But, we made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the transition, I've heard you talk a little bit about what it was like coming to Toronto
Right.
with your husband being such a big name, big celebrity here, such a well-known person, and you coming in under that umbrella. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? If I can just say, I've heard you guys say that the challenge of life is to overcome.
Yes.
How did you overcome some of those difficult times?
Wow. Well, I remember when I first came here, it was really hard. And I really had to work at it. Because I don't think I understood how big he was already here in Toronto. I didn't comprehend any of that. So I remember when I first moved here, and I think we were going to a restaurant, and we were walking down the street, and everybody kept calling his name. Like, pinball this, pinball that, stopping him to take pictures, and I got a little bit overwhelmed to the point that I was upset. And I'm thinking, what's happening? Like, what is this, right? And I remember this homeless guy came up, and he was asking for money, and of course we gave him some money. And I thought to myself right then, I looked at Mike and I said, something seems off. Like, this is not right. Like, here we are. We're going into a restaurant where they're telling us that our meal is going to be free because of who you are. But yet there are people outside the restaurant asking for money, wanting food, and they can't get any. Like, for me, I had a hard time kind of putting things together, right? But Mike was great with helping me get through the transition, because I came here, I couldn't work. And, I was sitting at home, I was bored, I had nothing to do, and he was out and he was doing his thing, and I had to find a way to bridge to allow me to be a part of what he was doing. And I had difficulty doing that, but I managed to be able to do that. And once I was able to bridge that and bridge that gap, it was amazing, right? It worked, and I just found myself being a part of his world. I was able to make that transition into the football world and find my place, so to speak.
Yeah. Difficult journey,
Yeah.
but you overcame, and I'm sure God was a
Absolutely.
part of that as well.
100%.
Just helping you walk through the steps of just coming into this new space, this new reality of life,
Absolutely.
and overcoming. And now we look at you guys and we see the success and we see the beauty of the things that you have done in the community. And you touched on something there where you talked about that moment where you saw that homeless person. What is it about your background, do you think, about your upbringing, your humble beginnings, that make you guys, as successful as you are, still care about community, still care about people, and this is something you guys do together? What is it, do you think, about your upcoming or bringing up that made you guys the way you are?
Well, I'll go first briefly. I think we both came from we didn't have much. Our parents didn't have much. And I know for me and my family in our community, my mom made our home the place where everybody came. And we had, when I say little of nothing, we had little of nothing. And I remember as kids, we would always look at our mom and say, why are you inviting them to dinner? Like, we have one chicken, right? We've got one, and it's 10 of us, right? How are you inviting a family of 6, Mom? Like, and she would always say, don't worry, God will provide. He'll spread this meal. And every single time, Pastor D, there was leftovers.
Wow.
And we would always be amazed at the fact that she would bring anybody in and feed them and give them a place to lay their heads. And it taught me, no matter how little you have, there's somebody else that has even less. And our duty is to always share and give back.
For me, my mom was a single parent for the first 15 years. She was married when I was 14, and my little sister's 15 years younger than I am. She was just this person who was always helping. My great-grandmother outlived both my grandmother and great-grandmother, and that's who raised my mom from about 7 years old on. And she was this wonderful lady and so loving, but she went blind around the time I was born. So the challenge here now is for her to raise me as a single parent and also take care of the person who had raised her. The really cool thing is even given that, she was still always helping everybody else, right? She was always helping out at the church, right? She held the position as a secretary in the church. I think she still is, right? So for 40 years must be now. And so she was always helping someone else, even though she was in a situation that people would call in some situations desperate, but she was a great example. She got a great job working with the city, and she did that for some 33 years, or 38 years, I'm sorry. And she was just a great example and had a just great heart, always giving, always trying to give someone a ride to the store. When something happened in someone's family, she would cook dinner. She'd do all of those kinds of things. And so my mom was that wonderful example for me.
Yeah, so you both had great examples in your life growing up. And you know, when people hear this part of your story, that's why I say you see the glory, but you don't know the story. I'm sure people don't understand where you've come from and how that has shaped you to who you are today. And I think that's one of the things that make you guys so successful, is that you are successful and you do have, but you also care about community. You care about people. You care about giving back because you have a background in doing that.
Well, I would say, I always told my guys a little quote that I saw, that if what you did yesterday still sounds good to you today, then you haven't done much today, right? And so we don't want to sort of sit around and talk about the successful things that have happened. We want to be successful. It means you are doing, right? You're doing it right now, right? So we want to go out today and try to be successful.
Phenomenal,
yes.
Phenomenal. Well, this has been a great time. I still have a ton of questions to ask you guys. So we're going to close off for today. But before we do, I just want to ask you one thing. What are you afraid of? Quick question.
What am I afraid of?
Quickly. Okay, I'll go to Mike first. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of being afraid.
You're afraid of being afraid. And what about you, Di?
That's a good answer. I'm afraid of being afraid.
You're afraid of being afraid. And one last quick question. Every person needs
a black dress.
Every person needs
love, or more importantly, God. God is love. So
Amen.
every person needs God, and that's why I say it afraid too, because God tells us that He didn't give us a spirit of fear. That's why I'm scared of being afraid. I never want to be in that position.
Perfect level cast out all fear.
There you go.
Thank you guys.
That's the right answer, right?
Thank you guys so much for this time. It's been an incredible time just getting to know you guys a little bit better, and just pray God's richest blessings over your life.
Well, thank you so much. We want to thank Pastor T for joining us today here in the
Pastor
Sweet
T.
Spot. She was absolutely amazing, and don't worry, we will have a part 2 and she will be back. But for now, we want to thank you for joining us, and as always, we want to leave you with the words of Edward Everett. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. Until next time, stay in your sweet spot.
Thank you, Pastor T.
All right, very good.
Oh, wow.